so that we can get to the other stuff that we're going to talk about in episode 100, let's go ahead and head our way over to BJ's best, ladies and
Well,
gentlemen.
thank you, Drew, as always. This was going to be the this was going to be the debut of something brand new here in this episode, this segment.
Hmm.
Unfortunately,
Hmm.
I'm missing some elements to it.
We
So
got we got hyped up and then
I
brought
know.
back down.
I'm just being straightforward and open and honest. We'll have a new video intro for a new era starting in episode 101. But we're getting this professionally produced, and the voiceover actor that we hired for this intro was not able to get this met in the timetable to have it ready today, but it will be ready before before next week's episode. So we'll have
Yeah.
a video intro in episode 101 and going forward for quite a while. So in the meantime, the buzzkill. Well, that's just kindness all around. We're supposed to be celebrating here, Cam. Don't be bringing down the mood. So in the meantime, I wanted to talk about a couple different things real quick. So I'm not going to spend too much time on this, but Drew, do you consider yourself a big fan of the Indiana Jones movies? The Harrison Ford?
No,
No? Have you seen
because
them?
you're literal. I try to be literal when you say big fan. I'm gonna say no.
Okay. Have you seen the movies then? Are you a fan at least? He's hiding now. He can't you can't hide if you don't have a good answer to the question.
No, I haven't seen one yet.
Okay.
I say
So
yet, like I'm gonna actually go watch them.
are
If I haven't
yeah,
watched them, I'm
I was
probably
gonna
not
say
going
if you're
to.
not going to, then probably not. I just was
But
gonna talk
I'll
a
start Indiana Jones when you start Game of Thrones. How about that? That's a fair trade-off, ladies and gentlemen. BJ
I
been
mean
holding me off on Game of Thrones for years, and
the
he
thing about it
loves Indiana Jones. So should I watch
I
that for
didn't
him
say
if
I
he
didn't
watches?
say I loved Indiana
You
Jones.
don't
I
love
was
Indiana
legitimately
Jones?
asking as a question.
You don't?
I was gonna say
Are you telling me you don't love it?
there are two good movies, there are two not good
Okay.
movies, and there's about to be another movie that comes out. In fact, right now it's out now, and after this episode ends,
He's old.
I'm going to go see it. And so
Mm.
I'm going to have probably, if it's good enough, I will review it in next week's edition of BJ's Best. But
Mm.
I'm worried. I'm very worried that it's not, and so I'm hoping that
How many
my
Indiana Jones movies
irrational
are there
fear.
now?
So this is number 5. This is
And you said there's only
Indiana.
two good, so half of them are have been good.
So the
Oh, that's a
first one
lot on
for,
That's a lot on the fifth one, BJ. If it's not
so
good, then the franchise is a to you.
first one is just greatness. If you haven't
Yes.
ever, I would at least recommend Raiders of the Lost Ark. That's the best
Okay.
one, bar none. They did a sequel to it called Temple of Doom, and I think people like it overall in general. I don't. To me, at least, I don't really care for it. But they made up for it with the third one, which was originally the final film in the saga, and it
Mm.
was Last Crusade. It came out in the late '80s. They did three all in the 1980s, and it was really good. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a perfect cap to the trilogy. You have a really great first movie. You have a subpar second movie, not really as good, and then you follow it off with a classic end to the trilogy with the third installment. And then they went and mucked it all up
Mm.
14 years ago, Drew, with talking about the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. It came out in 2009. It was supposed to be set in the late 40s, early 50s, talking about the time with
How
the
long ago was
hydrogen
that?
bomb when the movie came out, or
Mhm.
it was 14 years ago, 2009.
Oh,
It was
well,
literally half of
BJ,
our lifetimes ago.
it's not looking too good.
Not looking too good.
I don't know, man. You really got to
Early
toss up of
reviews.
whether this movie's gonna be good or not. Because they started out good, they fumbled a little bit, they fixed it, then they fumbled horrendously.
Yeah, it's
So you're either gonna get a good enough movie that you'll like it, or why did I go watch this movie? Which
well,
one is
right now if you look at things like Rotten Tomatoes,
Ooh.
it is a pretty favorable score. It's at 66%, which is not great but not terrible.
Mhm.
It
Whoa,
says the critics
66.
say it's not as thrilling as the earlier adventures, but the nostalgic rush of seeing Harrison Ford back in action helps Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny find a few final bits of cinematic treasure. So
I feel like this is gonna be, and you won't be able to relate to this because you haven't seen the show, but I'm gonna say it anyway. This will be like watch this movie versus its past movies because it's been so long and he's so old now. It'll be like watching um, Jon Snow fight in Game of Thrones versus Jorah Mormont fighting with his old ass.
okay,
Well, bleep.
I know who Jon Snow is at least, if that helps.
Yeah, that's the difference here. Like you're not gonna get the hype of the young Jon Snow swinging his sword, having the best fights. You're gonna see the old man that's in there swinging, trying to do some Indiana Jones stuff and looking real old out there. He's gonna look real old today. I feel like.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean he looked pretty old in the last one that he did it 14 years
Mm-hmm.
ago.
How you think
But
this one's gonna be? You think he's either got
no, they're
I don't even know. They
I mean
probably
I
aren't
don't
doing anything too crazy with him if
yeah,
they
they're
didn't
they're
in the
not
last.
gonna they're not gonna de-age him.
They're
I
gonna have
don't
him walk
think at
everywhere.
least.
He's not gonna do some crazy stuff and jump off walls and
I I
backflip off
actually
a
disagree. I
building.
actually disagree. I think that
He's too old.
Harrison Ford
I know you got
is
stunt doubles,
is
but this
is a
character is
really
too old.
he's a really good actor. I believe that he will. I mean, he's the one that
Well,
just a few years ago he flies like old like 1940s era airplanes, and
mhm.
he had one that a while back he accidentally I think it stalled out on him and he had to make a crash landing, but he was pretty fine. I mean, so I don't have any problem believing that he's gonna be doing some stunts, or at least his character will be doing some stunts. But so I mean, I worry just because when you coming off such a dud of a film in four, it's really tough to think that the fifth one, is guess odds are better than evens is what Cam says. That's a good sign at least. It's really hard to want to give this the benefit of the doubt because of how bad four was. But if you use that logic, then three was going to suck compared to two. But so I'm hopeful. I'm optimistically hopeful that it's not going to be
You
bad.
gotta be. You paid your money
Yeah,
already. You're going.
yeah, yeah.
You
So
gotta have high hopes, or you'll just be sad the whole movie. You don't want to be sad for an hour and a half, 2 hours.
I was gonna say, I mean, the fact of it is that Indiana Jones, they're not going to be making any more with Harrison Ford, even if
They probably shouldn't have made this one because he's old as dirt.
they shouldn't have made four. If we're being honest, I thought the perfect cap was one, two, three,
What
but
happens when the money gets to you? You're like, well, Harrison, you want
it
to come make one more?
it's
You're
it,
only like 65.
it's a George Lucas, Steven Spielberg thing. I really feel like.
Yeah.
But anyway, so that's what I'm going to be doing later on this afternoon. Other quick note for BJ's Best, Drew.
Ooh.
Last night, we saw something in Major League Baseball that we had not seen in 12 years. Or,
Perfect
sorry,
game, right?
11 years. Yes, a perfect game.
I don't remember the
Just the
name. It was a Yankee though.
Domingo Herman. He 11 years ago, it's the first perfect game since Felix Hernandez of the Mariners had one in August of 2012. We went a long time, Drew, without a perfect game, but it's funny
I'm
because
close. I'm fine.
he was pitching in Oakland, and I don't know if you know a lot about Oakland this year,
They were
but
perennial stinkers. Then went on a MLB leading win streak for a little bit. And I don't know where they are now.
they're 40 games under 500, Drew. They're 21 and 61. I made
I
the
don't know
joke
how they
at the
won like 8 games straight. I have no
yeah,
idea.
I know it's beyond crazy. I made the joke. I think I said either last night or earlier this morning. Is it really impressive if it's against a AAA team? Like he's playing, pitching against a minor league team almost just because
Yeah.
of the competition that they have on their roster to help save a few bucks. I mean, there's a lot of turmoil with the A's are set to be moving to Vegas and
Yep.
just a lot going on there, and just add compound it with now being the first perfect game in major leagues in 11 years.
Hey,
um
A's will be good once they get to Vegas, though.
oh
Every
you
team once they get to Vegas is good.
they're
Once
gonna be
it
they're gonna be spending the money. They're gonna
Ace
be
is
wanting people to be
nice.
coming in, and they're gonna want their hard-earned cash,
The
so of
Raiders will
course.
have their time,
Yeah.
maybe.
But so it is interesting now, Drew. This is the fourth of the 24 perfect games in Major League Baseball history. A Yankees pitcher has thrown four of them. You have a couple in the late 90s with David Wells and David Cohn back in 98 and 99. And then you have the only World Series no-hitter perfect game in 1956 with Don Larson. And now here we are, 25 almost years later, 24 years later from that, and Domingo Herman, out of all pitchers, is the one that throws a perfect game. And I saw a stat. I wish I had it. I wish I'd have it for the stat of the episode. But Herman had a start last week where he gave up 10 runs. He gave up 10 runs in his start. And he was like the third Yankee pitcher in history to ever give up 10 runs in a start or something like that. And now his very next time out, he throws a perfect game. And so baseball is just funky, weird at times.
Yeah, it's a strange game. It's a
Yeah,
strange game.
it is. It is. It definitely is. And that is BJ's best, Drew.
BJ's best. We like that right